Hello, my name is Kirsten Kennedy, and I will be guiding you through a 40-minute wind-down yoga practice. This is a wonderful practice to go to if you're feeling particularly anxious or stressed, as well as if you just need to wind down after a long day before you crawl into bed. The first 5 minutes of this practice will be in meditation, so I'd like you to find a comfortable seat, preferably. And if you have a hard time sitting for longer periods of time, then please feel free to use a prop or even lie down. Today I will be using a yoga blanket to help elevate my hips so that I'm not constantly thinking about the tension in them as I meditate. So let's go ahead and just settle into the body, taking inventory of how we're breathing. Without judgment or without changing the breath in any way, just noticing how we're feeling, how we're breathing. Right, and as we start to soften a little bit more into our position, begin to allow your sits bones to just soften into whatever support you have underneath of you. As we breathe in, just maybe even noticing a slight drop down of the pelvic floor, this relaxing of the pelvic floor muscles. And as we exhale, maybe we start to feel the shoulders coming down away from the ears, and tension just melting out of the jaw. We're going to begin a nice centering breath for our practice, for our meditation. So when you're ready, just take a normal breath in and then just exhale it all out. Make sure it all comes out of the lungs. And then when you're ready, we're going to take a big breath in for 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause at the top. Exhaling for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause at the bottom. 3 more times. Inhale through the nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. Exhaling through an open mouth. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause all of that breath out. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause. Exhale. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Last one, inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Allow your breathing pattern just to return to normal. And as we have centered and focused our energy, begin to notice if you're holding tension in any other places of the body. We all hold tension differently, but what most of us maybe don't think about is that it's not necessary. It's not necessary to wear your shoulders like earrings, or to constantly have your jaw clenched or your glutes squeezing together. So just soften it all. And to find that balance so that we don't just melt like a pool of muscle and tissue onto our mat, let's begin to think about inhaling for length in the body. So softly picking up the back of the skull, reaching it towards the sky. Perhaps imagining the spaces between each vertebra just lengthening up a little bit more with each breath. And now we've found that tall, equal effort of that rooting down and that rising up. Let's begin to focus a bit more on that root. So imagining that your sits bones or your pelvic floor or whatever's connecting to the earth right now that energy begins to burrow down into the earth. You can choose a color or some kind of texture associated with that energy. Just begin to reach those roots down into the dirt, into the soil, feeling that you are fully supported by the earth. You are very aware of that connectivity from gravity of your body against the earth. And as you drop down deeper into that sensation, recognizing that it's not a heaviness, it's a lesson, it's a feeling in stability. Because as you breathe in, we grow a little taller, we reach that energy out, up through the back of the head, the crown of the head. And as we exhale, we connect a little deeper down into that root. So is the practice. Rooting down, rising up. Balance between ease and effort. Push and pull. Yes and no. So for today's practice, perhaps we can make it a lesson in ease over effort. Truly allowing yourself this time to wind down. So as you're ready, we're going to stay in a seated position. So if you were lying down, go ahead and come on up. If you have a prop under your hips, it's okay for it to remain there, but if it becomes a little too much or if it's restricting your movement, go ahead and remove it. We're going to come into a seated cat-cow. So with hands gently, palms down onto the knees, let's just begin to have this movement originate in the pelvis. So as we inhale, let's just tip the pubic bone forward to the mat as we arch the low back slightly, reach the heart up to the sky. And then as we exhale, feel that tailbone press down into the mat as we curl under, navel draws in, feel that rounding of the back like a cat, maybe chin to chest. And then inhale, tip the pelvis forward, reach the heart up. Exhale, rock back, cat pose. Feel the ribs draw in, chin to chest. A few more rounds of this. Feeling the breath guide the movement. Beautiful. Let's just take two more. And then last one here. And then as we're ready, just finding some neutrality in the pelvis. So just gently stacking the head over the ribs and the ribs over the hips. And keeping that softness of the hands on the knees, let's begin to make some spinal circles. So go ahead and just kind of lean the upper body over to the right, bring it forward, around, and then bringing it back to the left. You can tip back in the pelvis, rock back, tuck the chin, and then once again, just making big circles with the upper body here. And it's almost as if you're feeling this circling movement at the very bottom of your pelvic bowl. So just circling around from the tailbone to the sits bones to the pubic bone, all the while keeping that energy reaching up through the crown of the head. One more in this direction. You can make it as big or as small as you feel. And then just pause and then we'll reverse. Reversing directions here. Hands are still lightly on the knees. They're not pulling on the knees or guiding the movement. They're just soft. They're there for support so we don't tilt back or tip too far forward. One more big circle here, or little. And then let's find ourselves right in the center of it all. Just find a moment of stillness. Begin to take those hands out to the sides. We're going to inhale, reach the arms up. As you reach energy through your fingers, can it be matched with the same amount of intention and energy with your heart lifting up towards the sky? And then as you exhale, just draw those Anjali Mudra hands down to your heart center and pause. Inhale, reach the arms up towards the ceiling, fingers to the sky. And then palms gently pressed together, drawing that grounding, centering energy down through the body. Pause. Do you notice that subtle vibration in the tips of your fingers? Inhale, reach the arms up to the ceiling. Last one here, really big reach. And then exhale, drawing the hands down through heart center, pausing. If you'd like to join me for the sound of Om, chanting the sound of Om, let's just take a deep breath in. Exhale it all out. When we're ready, let's go ahead one more time. Reach those arms up to the ceiling. Bring the right hand down to the mat beside you. Reach that left arm up for that beautiful side bend. Inhale into those left ribs and underarm. And then as you exhale, go ahead, reach both arms back to the sky. And left hand down to the floor, right arm reaches. We'll move with the breath here for these first few rounds. Inhaling up. Exhaling, right hand down, left arm reaches. Inhaling up. Exhale, left hand down, right arm reaches. 2 more rounds at your own pace here. Each time we side bend, maybe we feel a bit more space opening up in between the ribs and those intercostal muscles. Last round. Beautiful. And this is our final seated pose here. Let's go ahead and come into a little bit of rib cage mobility. This is something that is imperative for being able to move freely through the chest wall, and which is important because we need that in order to breathe more effectively and in a deeper breath. So when you're ready, bring that right hand to the right rib, just under the breast. I like to have my index finger wrapped around the front of my ribs as my thumb wraps to the side and back. I'll sit up nice and tall, take a big breath in, and as you exhale, press those right ribs over to the left hip as you take your left shoulder towards your right knee. It's something like you're rounding over that hand. Big breath into that right hand, and then exhale, push those ribs back. This time, gently take that left palm to your QL. So it's that left side, mid to low back from the ribs to the hip. Big breath into that left hand. Do you feel that stretch? And then exhale, press those ribs in just a little bit more. Just gently press. 2 more breaths like that. Focus now the breath. Big breath into that left hand. Feel that stretch, that intention there. And then exhale, press the ribs back. 1 more. Beautiful. Go ahead and sit up nice and centered, and then we'll do that on the other side. Left hand wraps around the ribs just under the breast. Take a big breath into those left fingers, and then exhale, push those left ribs towards the back right hip as you reach your right shoulder to your left knee. Focus that breath into the left hand first, and then exhale, press those left ribs gently in a little deeper. Maybe that right hand finds the right QL, the quadratus lumborum. As you breathe into that right hand, feel the stretch. Notice if it feels different than the other side. And exhale, round down. 2 more breaths. Inhale into that right hand. Exhale, gently press the left ribs towards the right hip. 1 more breath. Beautiful. Go ahead and come on up. We'll make our way into our child's pose. So in the spirit of effortlessness, ease, Let's go ahead and bring big toes together, knees apart. Sit the hips back to the heels first, and then just kind of slither your spine down. So lengthen the spine down, but keep those hips low. And then your hands, you can either have them palms facing up. You can wrap your hands around the sides of the body, but they don't have to be active. Just let the arms just kind of drape into the earth. And we focused on these big expansive breaths here into those ribs, and we'll continue to for our practice, but for right now, I want you to find the length once again in your spine. So take a deep breath all the way down into the tip of your tailbone and allow it to travel up the spine to the base of the neck. And as you exhale through a just soft open jaw here, feel your body soften. We'll be here for another 5 breaths or so. Noticing the tension in the jaw. Is it there? Is it still in the shoulders, or have you been able to slowly allow the body to sink? Feeling the support of your mat, of the earth, allowing the body to be held here. Think about how often we're holding someone else, whether it's a physical holding of a baby, a child, or we're holding space for someone. We're listening, we're there emotionally. Just allow this moment for you to be held. And as we're ready, let's go ahead and come into all fours. We'll take that right leg and step it forward to the top of the mat. We're not going to be in quite a low lunge yet. Let's go ahead and keep the knees and ankles stacked, knees and hips stacked. So that right knee is directly over the right ankle, and your left knee is directly underneath of that left hip. So you have 2 90-degree angles with your legs. Allow that left shin to soften down into the mat. And if you need some extra cushioning for that left knee, feel free to roll your mat up or put a blanket under there. Now from here, we're going to focus on opening the front of the quad. So getting up as tall as you can through that upper body, feeling the rooting down. You're rooting down through the sole of that right foot. You're rooting down, not pressing down. You're just gently rooting down through the knee and the shin of the left foot, top of that left foot. And then from here, gently squeeze the left glute so that you feel a press forward of that left hip. And then can you imagine drawing that left hip bone up towards the sky? Now, if this is enough of a stretch for you, feel free to rest your hands on that right thigh, or if you have blocks, rest them beside you on blocks. If you'd like something that's a little bit more deep, you can reach that left arm straight up to the ceiling. Once again, finding that equanimity, that balance of the root and the rise. Breathe up into your fingertips of that left hand, and then maybe take a little side bend over to the right. Not overdoing it. It's gentle. It's easeful. One more big breath into the ribs, into the thigh. And then slowly go ahead and bring the hand down. Framing the front right foot with your hands either to the mat or to your blocks, let's go ahead and step our left knee back just a couple inches so that now we are in a low lunge. From here, allow the hips to drop without forcing them down. We don't want to push the hips down. Just allow your hips to give into gravity. Depending on our flexibility and how we're feeling today, it might look different than in previous classes. So from here, we're going to allow those hips to drop. Reach your heart, look slightly past your mat, and breathe in. Feel the collarbones smile. Feel the shoulder blades just roll down the back. And then as we exhale, let's rock back onto that right heel. Flex those toes up towards your knee. And we begin with a breath. So inhale, Rock forward into your low lunge. Feel that long line of the body, rooting down, rising up. And as you exhale, rock back onto that right heel. Reach those hips back. Heart reaches beyond the knee. Continue here. 3 more. Inhale, rock forward. Feel that openness in the chest that's created by the strength of your back. And as you rock back, feel that nice, gentle pull of the hamstring. Last 2. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Now as we inhale forward, let's pause here for a moment. We're in our low lunge. Left hand will come either to a block to the inside of the right foot or to the floor. Now take that left wrist and bring it directly underneath of that left shoulder. So you have a nice long line, nice stacked joints in that left arm. From here, the right hand will go onto your right thigh. Gently draw your heart away from your hips. And then press into both hands as you gently roll that right shoulder open. Maybe the gaze goes over the right shoulder and just gentle, easy twist here. If this feels good, stay right here. If you'd like, you can reach the right arm up to the sky. Did you have a moment where you thought, oh, I should tuck my back toe and lift my knee? Maybe not tonight. Maybe this practice we just allow ourselves to go easy. And then when you're ready, unwind. Take those hands, frame that front foot one more time. Big breath in, and then we can rock back into our half split. Now we can stay. Let's go ahead and lift the body up. So meaning that we're going to just get tall, shoulders over the hips. Keep flexing those right toes up. Soften behind that knee. Take a big breath in, and then just draw that right hip back ever so slightly. And as you exhale, just begin to hinge the body forward over that thigh. Think length. So we want to enjoy this idea of the heart reaching beyond the knee. And then the hands can just rest to the sides of the body or to a block, the floor. We'll be here for 5 breaths. So scan the body here, and where does your body need the breath the most? Find it, send it, receive it. One more breath. Staying in the body, out of the mind. And when you're ready, rock forward, and then we'll return to all fours. You can do a couple cat-cows here. You can circle the hips. Let's prepare ourselves for the other side. As you're ready, let's just step the left foot forward in between the hands, creating those 2 90-degree angles with our legs, left knee over left ankle, left knee directly, or right knee directly under the right hip. And as you get up nice and tall, your hands can gently rest either to that left thigh, or they can come by your sides. But let's ever so gently root down through that right shin and knee, gently squeezing the right glute, and lifting that right hip bone up. Staying here, enjoying that stretch of the front of the thigh, or scooping that right arm up and reaching to the ceiling. As we breathe into those right fingertips, exhale, soften deep down into that right knee. Staying here, or taking that just gentle lateral bend, that side bend over to the left. Breathing into the rib cage, the oblique. And then take your time coming back through center. Hands can frame that front left foot, and then just walk the right knee back just a little bit. Finding that low lunge. From here, hands back to your props or to the floor. We'll allow the gravity to just gently pull our hips forward or down towards the mat. Inhale, reach the heart beyond your mat. Collarbones open, back is strong. And the next time we exhale, let's just rock back onto the left heel, bring those toes with. Inhale, shifting that center of the body forward, low lunge. Exhale, rocking back into our half split. 3 more. Noticing the difference between two sides of the body. There's always a difference, whether it be subtle or pretty apparent. The more we pay attention to these differences and these sensations, the more aware we become of our movement, and then therefore the more aware we become elsewhere in our lives. So take this without judgment, without worry, and just notice. The next time we come forward into our low lunge, let's pause. Right hand will come directly underneath of that right shoulder to either a block or to the floor, or into the inside of that left leg. Left hand gently presses onto that left thigh. So from here, before we twist, inhale, reach your heart away from your hips, and then press into that left hand, press into your right palm, and gently rotate to the left, perhaps looking over the left shoulder. Breathe in between the blades, the shoulder blades. Staying here, or maybe extend the left arm to the sky. If we take that option, we're really committing to that reach. It's not just sort of halfway kind of lifted up. We're really extending through, and we're really pushing down into our right hand. 1 more breath. Gently bring both hands to frame that front left foot, and we will take a big breath in, exhaling, rocking back into that half split. So once we get here, let's come up nice and tall, hands to the hips for a moment, feeling if there's any kind of shifting or unevenness of the hips. Oftentimes we have to pull that left hip back just a little bit to feel the hips in line with one another. So go ahead and do that. Soften behind that left knee, take a big breath in, and from the hips, not quite from the spine just yet, from the hips, hinge forward. Beautiful. And when you find that place where you feel your hamstrings and that sensation, find the length a little more out of the heart. Your hands can gently rest onto the floor or to blocks beside you. And once you've found that positioning, you can even gently let your head round. Our hamstrings are what I've found to be a very stubborn little group of muscles here. So try not to force a stretch. You'll definitely have a lot more success if you really just send the breath there instead of pushing into it. Last breath. And then when you're ready, let's go ahead and find ourselves back into that lunge. And then just stepping back into all fours one last time. Making any movement you feel is necessary to reset, cat, cow, side to side, wag your tail, whatever works for you. And we're going to come down onto our backs. So as you're ready, just gently lying down. Feet flat onto the mat here for a moment. And just feel the low back settle down. I'm going to turn onto our side in just a moment, but right now, breathe into the low back, into the ground, and just take a moment to feel what it's like to lie completely flat on your back. Is it uncomfortable? Does it feel as though it gives your back relief? And then when you're ready, let's turn to our right side. Bring those knees up so the knees are in line with the hips. And then we're going to extend our right arm out. So our head will be on the floor. If you need a prop like a blanket to support the neck, go for it. But the right arm is reaching out. You're going to take your left arm and left hand and place it directly on top of your right. So the palms meet. Go ahead and reach your left fingers a little beyond the right. So it's almost as if you're about to roll onto the chest. Try to keep the head heavy through this. Try not to pick it up. We're going to take a big breath in. Begin to drag your left fingers up your palm, up your wrist, your forearm, your bicep, across your chest as you start to twist, and then let your gaze follow your left fingers as you look to your left as you end up in your twist. Big breath in. Begin to take your left fingers to your left shoulder. Press that left palm across your chest, down your right bicep, forearm, wrist, and hand. Reach it way past those right fingers. And then again, inhale to open. And exhale very slowly to come back into that side lying position. 2 more times here. A lot of the magic happens here when we are able to not force ourselves to open to any position or any specific place. And when we allow ourselves to really kind of linger at that end part where we're on our side again and those left fingers are pushing beyond the right. These are periscope arms. These are wonderful to relieve any tension across the shoulder blades, in the deltoids, the low back. Last one here. When the hands are together again, let's begin to switch the movement. Keeping your left fingertips on the floor for as long as possible, we're going to circle that left arm up and around. Your hand will lift eventually. We'll end up in that same twist. And then coming back out. So up and around again, drawing a semicircle overhead with the fingers. Pinwheel arms. Inhale up and around. Feel that mid-back movement here. Noticing if you feel any tension or resistance in the chest, under the arms. One more here, up and around. And then gently finding a moment of stillness. And then let's move to the other side. Lying now on our left side, knees tucked up in line with the hips. Head is heavy. Reach the left arm out. Reach your right fingertips beyond the left. Take a big breath in. And then slowly trace those right fingers across the palm, up your left wrist, forearm, bicep, letting the fingers slide across the chest and open out to the right so your upper body's in a T position. And then coming back in the way you came, coming back out the way you came in. Bend that right elbow, touch the right chest, slide across the chest, down the left bicep, forearm, wrist, and fingers. 3 more here. Feel free to linger in any of these spaces. Feel free to continue to move with the breath or find stillness. Rolling slowly, mindfully. Last one. The next time our palms meet, we'll come into pinwheel arms. So reach those right fingers beyond the left and then trace that semicircle, that arc up above the head, circling around till you're back into that twisted T position and then back around the way you came. And just listening to that shoulder joint as we move through these. 3 more. This tends to be a place where we feel a lot of tension from rounded shoulders, that deep, deep tension in the pec minor or the pec major. Don't force an opening, just be gentle with it. Last one. Pause. And then making our way into Shavasana. So rolling onto your back. If you've been on your feet all day today, feel free to tuck up against a wall for legs up the wall. If you'd like, hug those knees in one last time into the chest. You maybe even have a quick little happy baby for that adductor opening, that inner thigh opening. And then just settling into stillness. Gently drawing the shoulder blades underneath of the body, softening the legs. Before we dive deeper down into a relaxation, just begin to notice that support, the sensation of being held by the earth, by your practice,